Hello world! Back in July, Spanish police raided the homes of 16 cybercriminals connected to the Mekotio malware. Mekotio is a kind of banking Trojan. It spreads via phishing emails prompting victims to download the Trojan, which, once executed, pilfers banking credentials, leaving the door open for cybercrooks to exfiltrate your cash at ATMs or by using popular online banking apps like Revolut. During their raids, police found bank accounts storing around 3.5 million euros. However, as it turns out, the Spanish cybercrooks were just collabing with the main gang, which is based out of Brazil. Taking out the Spaniards has had little lasting effect, and shortly after those arrests, the core Brazilian group re-engineered parts of their malware and Mekotio has returned, with a stealthier version. One example phishing email we have here, which is of course written in Spanish as the perps have only been targeting Spanish-speaking countries, takes the form of a fake digital tax receipt, which claims the victim owes 6,298.2 monetary units. I presume the currency isn't delineated for some reason. Poor efforts on the part of Mekotio. And besides, a digital tax receipt is an odd choice of bait. Usually you want to bait people with something they actually want to engage with, not an invoice claiming you owe a bunch of cash. Anyway, if you do take the bait, a malicious zip is downloaded rather than the PDF you're after. Unfortunately, the malware analysis done by ESET and Checkpoint, which I'll link below, doesn't say much about the contents of the zip, other than to say it contains a malicious batch script. The malware seems to be betting on the victim mistaking the batch script for a PDF, not the easiest mistake to make. Though once executed, Mekotio has several interesting features. Firstly, it disables autocomplete in Internet Explorer by modifying registry keys. Why? Well, Mekotio relies on an embedded keylogger to grab banking logon details. What use is a keylogger if no one's typing their passwords? Also, Mekotio comes laden with a kind of Bitcoin stealer, idea being it constantly monitors the clipboard. If it detects a string consistent with a Bitcoin address has been copied by the user, it switches it out for a hard-coded attacker-controlled address, surreptitiously changing the destination of the coins you're about to send. Very sneaky. In fact, I've come across malware before that does just this. A while ago I received an email from a customer of my company Maltronics. He paid for his order using Ethereum, but the payment provider Coinbase never received the Ether. It turns out that every time he hit the copy button on Coinbase's payment portal, a different Ether address was copied to the clipboard, and before he realized it, he sent $100 or so of Ether to a malicious wallet. Looking up these addresses on Etherscan, you can see some have received Ether worth tens of thousands of dollars. There's also tons of people in the comments complaining that their crypto was somehow wrongly sent to these wallets, asking if they can please have their coins back. Something tells me they didn't get their crypto back. Similar to what we've seen recently with ransomware strains only executing if the victim PC is located in certain countries, Mekotio also runs a similar check, though instead of checking the keyboard layout, it'll instead run an IP check and terminate the attack if the victim is not located in Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Spain or Peru. Now, I don't think the attackers have anything against these countries. I'm guessing their specificity has something more to do with the kind of bank accounts they're able to work with, or that some kind of method they use to launder their money is only compatible with these countries, but we can only guess. After the arrest of their counterparts in July, the Brazilian cybercriminals behind Mekotio implemented a new old encryption technique to obfuscate their Trojan's code in a bid to avoid malware scanners. This technique being the humble cipher. As Checkpoint explains, each batch file contains these two lines. At runtime, the characters of the bottom line are mapped onto the characters in the corresponding position on the top line. The malware does this to obfuscate the true nature of the code to any malware scanners, as these blocks of code can't be easily deciphered without going through and actually understanding the code. Checkpoint explains that this simple obfuscation technique allows it to go undetected by most antivirus products. This isn't the first time malware has used such basic levels of obfuscation. A few months ago I covered malware which used Morse code of all things to hide its true nature. Now if you want to learn more about this malware, I'll link the full in-depth analysis below. This video is sponsored by me. My company Maltronics makes and sells the Malduino W, a BadUSB with Wi-Fi capabilities. Using regular BadUSB scripts, you can edit and launch scripts remotely. Did I mention it has RGB? Learn more via the link in the video description and get 10% off with code SATANIC. If you enjoy this kind of video, make sure to help me out by fondling the like button for the YouTube AI, as well as turning on those sub notifications. If you want to see what goes on behind the scenes, make sure to follow me on the Instagrams. I'm @Jonty. I will of course link it in the description. And if you're looking for something to watch next, go check out my previous video on how a Discord scam going around can grab your Steam credentials. As always, sources will be linked in the video description. Stay tuned for more hacking videos, and have a good one.